This is our Newcomers workshop. We do this about once or twice a year, okay? We like to do it in the fall because fall is a great time to plant plants in the Lexington area. And the reason it is because it gives the plants 6 to 9 months to grow in before the summer heat gets here in July and August. And for those of you who are new to this area and you haven't spent a July or August here yet, you'll find out what I'm talking about when those days roll around and it gets really hot. When that happens, the only defense your plants have against that heat is water. So you have to water quite a bit in July and August. You can plant in the spring, and that's a great time too. I think spring's better for people because they've had cabin fever for 3 or 4 months and they're ready to get outside. It's a good time to plant. Fall's probably the best time to plant because it gives the longest amount of time for the plants to get adjusted before the heat gets here, okay? Who's new to the area? Where are you from?
Outside of Buffalo, New York.
Minnesota. Minnesota? Vermont. Houston? Okay. Reason I asked that question, we moved here from New Jersey 3 years ago. My wife grew up right over there. And when we lived in New Jersey, we used to always come down to visit and take azaleas home. Because at the time, this was an azalea nursery. What we found was that the azaleas would start dying. And the reason they would die is because they were outside of their hardiness zone, okay? So the U.S. Department of Agriculture has what are called plant hardiness zones on the government website, and what these are is they talk about what plants will grow well in which particular zone. And they start at zone 12, I think, which is down in Miami, and they go up to about zone 5, which is Vermont, I think, up in that area. So the lower the number, the colder the plants have to be to survive in that area. So it's just like, you know, a bougainvillea down in Miami, which you can grow year-round. If you try to grow that up here, you can grow it during the summer months, but you have to take it indoors because it gets very cold here in the winter, too cold for that plant to make it. So the trick is to look at the plant hardiness zone of the particular plant that you buy. And generally, every plant, tree, or shrub that you'll see here is good to this hardiness zone. Our hardiness zone is either 7B or 8, depending on where you stand relative to Lake Murray, because the dividing line is Lake Murray. And when you look at annuals and perennials particularly, you should look at the tags on the annuals and perennials. Whether you get those here, which we always hope you do, or anywhere else, look at the tags because it'll tell you what hardiness zone it's good to. And what that'll also tell you is what temperatures the plant is good to, okay? So that's real important, particularly with annuals and perennials. Not so important with trees and shrubs because what we've got here are trees and shrubs that will grow in this particular zone. We'd like to have a lot of tropicals, but honestly, you know, like hibiscus, for example. Tropical hibiscus, if you bring them in the house in the winter, you can put them back out in the spring and they'll grow. But if you just leave them outside, it's going to be too cold for them. Even on a day as mild as this is, it's going to be a little too cold for them. When we lived in New Jersey, we had hibiscus. We'd bring them in the house in the winter, try to keep them in the sun as much as we could. They would look horrible by the end of the spring, but when you stuck them back outside, they just came back to life, and they were really nice, okay?